Hi, and welcome back to the Teams Insider podcast. This week we have an awesome guest, Jo Foley. I'm sure some of you know her in the space. She's been a long time follower of Microsoft on the journalistic side. And in the last few years, she's joined Directions on Microsoft, who are a company focused on helping enterprises understand and optimize their Microsoft use, their Microsoft spend. Really awesome conversation with her, all about Microsoft history, the pace of change, and how much AI and Copilot has been changing and impacting organizations recently, and what they're doing to cope with that change. Thanks to Jo for taking the time to jump on the pod, and also many thanks to Audio Code, who are the sponsor of this podcast. Really appreciate their support of everything we're doing at Empowering Cloud. On with the show. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Exciting guest for me personally here. I've been on Jo's podcast a few years ago, but now we're going full circle and she's on mine. So excited for that. Jo, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Awesome. So I feel like a lot of people in our space will know you, particularly with the kind of journalism history and ZDNet and Windows Weekly, which we'll all go through.
Right.
But maybe we could start with kind of who you are and what you're doing today, and then we'll go through the I'd love to go through the kind of history of how we got here.
Okay, sounds good. So my current job is I am editor-in-chief at an IT advisory and planning company called Directions on Microsoft. And so even though we have Microsoft in our name, we're not part of Microsoft. We don't have anything really directly to do with them other than that we cover them. We work for enterprise customers who need information about Microsoft Enterprise services and products. We also have a very strong licensing business so that we help customers with their enterprise agreements and licensing negotiations with Microsoft. So we basically are a one-stop shop for anyone who has a lot of Microsoft products in their enterprise.
And that's a big part of what Directions is. It is independent. So it's not a Microsoft partner pitching the Microsoft stack. It's an independent view on what enterprises could do.
That's right.
Awesome. So, but you yourself didn't used to, I feel like you're more close to my world than you used to be.
Yeah.
You were kind of, you went through the journalism route and obviously covered Microsoft for quite some time. And you and I went back and forth in those days talking. So talk us through that journey.
Yeah, so I have been a journalist for 41 years as of this year. My career started out in tech. I didn't know anything about tech when I started out, but I just happened to get my first job at a magazine called Electronic Business. So I learned about tech, and that was my beat from the very beginning of my career. And so it's been really fun. I've covered Microsoft mostly during that period, but I've also covered some other companies too. Like I had a stint where I was covering Sun Microsystems and Unix. Like I was a Unix reporter for a while. I did some database reporting for a while. Did a bit on Linux. And then I came back when I joined PC Week. And they needed a Microsoft reporter, and they're like, hey, you know about Unix? They have this product called NT over at Microsoft. Seems like it's the same thing, right? I'm like, no, not the same. But
and they were like, okay, you're already an expert because we thought it was.
I know. They're like, you know about operating systems. I'm like, I guess. So that's how I started covering Microsoft full time, basically, was they needed a Microsoft reporter, and they moved me up to Seattle so that I could report on Microsoft from Microsoft's backyard, which, as you probably can imagine, made me really popular with people up there. When they found out what I was doing, they're like, wait, are you spying on us? I'm like, no, I'm a reporter.
The stories of riding the buses and being on campus.
I was thinking the other day, I'm like, there's stories about me that are true of things that I did while I was there to get a story. And then there are other stories that people say that they've heard about me that I'm like, wait, what? Like a famous one is so many people think I disguised myself and worked in the Microsoft cafeteria flipping burgers. I've had several people say they saw me there doing it. And I'm like, I can tell you guys, like, I've done a lot for a story, but that is one thing I have not done.
Oh, not a bad idea, though.
I know. I'm like, could I have done that? But yeah, it's been a really fun ride. And I have been a journalist my whole career. I still feel like I'm a journalist even at Directions because my job here is to write the blogs and do the podcasts for our company. So I feel like I'm still doing journalism, even though I'm more on the analyst side now than I am in pure journalism.
And you've always covered Microsoft in your pure journalism days from more of a enterprise and company perspective, so Windows
Right.
Weekly still is a regular listen for me, that podcast. And I love the balance you and Paul had there, because you were bringing the enterprise perspective, which is a bit more what I'm interested in on my
Yeah.
side of the world as well.
Right. When I joined Windows Weekly, so I did that podcast for 10 years. When I first came on, they weren't really sure about having someone do enterprise content because almost every show on Twit, which is the home of Windows Weekly, is consumer focused. So I started talking about things like Hadoop and data lakes, and all of a sudden they're like, wait, what are we doing here? Like, what?
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was fun because I think it exposed people who didn't know the enterprise side of Microsoft to that world. And I had people just like joking around say, you know what, I didn't know they did this and that. But once you talked about that, I'm like, maybe our company should look into that, right?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the people that are very interested in tech in their consumer lives also work in tech
Right.
or IT as well. So there is an overlap
Exactly.
there for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's been kind of a full circle journey for me. I feel like I started as a journalist. I still am doing a lot of things that are journalistic. And my whole world for the past, I'd say 20 years has been Microsoft. So, yeah.
Awesome. So there's some context for everybody in this kind of journey story. And how's it been jumping from pure journalism over to kind of managing content? I mean, you've got some amazing colleagues at Directions. I feel like
Yes.
from one point of view, you've got an awesome set of people to pull content out of.
It's true. It's been really fun working with our group of analysts because all of them have worked in the industry as long as me, if not longer. Some of them have worked at Microsoft, some have not. Some have been like CXOs and CTOs and done those kind of jobs in the industry. All of them have a really deep well of knowledge in their respective spaces. So anytime I don't understand something or I'm a little puzzled on something, I just drop an email. I'm like, what is this what I think it is? And then get great immediate feedback, which is really cool because as a journalist, you sit around waiting a lot of times for people to get back to you and explain things to you that aren't quite clear. And now I have these people right at my fingertips. So I'm like, this is awesome, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. I remember like a couple of times you quoted various bits and pieces that I was talking about in your blog, like
hmm
way in the early days, and it
Yep.
was always like a really nice thing for me back in the day to be like, oh look, it's actually useful content. That's good to know.
Right. Right. Nice.
Awesome. So, like, let's talk about that kind of experience of Microsoft over that time, because it feels like we're in this period of just insane change, and it's always been fast, and we've always said this. But this AI thing and the competition between the big players has
hmm
just has stepped it up a gear. Is that what you're seeing as well?
Definitely. At one point I'm like, am I just getting older and so I'm slower, or is it that everything is happening way faster? And I think it's probably a combination of both. But the AI stuff, I feel like Microsoft is so adamant on trying to be first in this space that they're just throwing things out there way earlier than they used to with software and cloud services even. Like something's not even baked and they're like, okay, we're shipping it. And names change, pricing is changing, licensing is changing like constantly, right? And just when
Yeah,
you think you
it feels
understand
almost
it,
perpetually experimental. It's like
right,
will this work? Do people like this? Nope, move it around. They like
right,
that.
right. And so yeah, it's really it's hard to track it, right? Because you have something with a name and you think you understand it and suddenly, oh no, now it's named this. It's over here in this group now. It's priced like this instead of this and just trying to keep track anymore is insane.
yeah, and AI, particularly with the kind of insider baseball on the Microsoft side, it wasn't like there was one person or one group who was strategizing that. It was, here's AI, we know
Yeah.
it's going to have a huge impact, do some stuff, like across the whole,
Yeah,
literally across the whole org.
it's true. And then naming everything Copilot for people who've covered Microsoft and paid attention to Microsoft for a long time, it's like when they named everything .NET at one point back in Microsoft's history, and I'm like, wait, this is named Copilot. This used to be named something totally different, especially in Dynamics, right? I feel
Yeah,
like in Dynamics they had a lot of these technologies in place
they
that,
did.
right,
I kind of feel bad for them. Well, great in that it's a glory time for that
right,
business unit, but like all of the Copilot Studio and all
right.
the Power Platform stuff, it's got a new massive lease of life because AI makes it way
That's right.
more useful and accessible.
Exactly. Yeah. So just even that kind of stuff, like you're like, oh, I knew what this was when it was called, Power Virtual Agents, and suddenly it's now Copilot Studio, right? And everything is upside down, and
Yeah.
trying to understand. I think something else that a lot of people are a little puzzled about is they were on this low code, no code journey. Then AI happened, right? And now it's like, do you still need that? Because now you've got GitHub Copilot. Do you really need low code, no code anymore, right? Their answer is yes, obviously.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and it's kind of a plethora or spectrum of options, isn't it? It's like
there
they
is.
but where the lines definitely blur, and I'm seeing
Yeah.
the enterprises I talk to that traditionally would have a true what I would call low code team stretching into Azure Functions and Azure
Hmm.
for the AI stuff, and,
Yeah,
and and vice versa. Actually, Copilot Studio just in itself is quite powerful, so you can do
it
quite a
is.
lot without having to jump into proper code. The other variable that's fascinating is, and I've seen this in my personal work, is with things like GitHub Copilot. Actually, I mean, I only do bits of PowerShell scripts, but like that stuff, I'm definitely 10x more powerful than I was, and I'm not a
Hmm.
coder, but the AI kind of accelerates everybody's capabilities in that space, I
Yeah,
think.
for sure. Um, I think it's going to be really interesting, as they're talking about the future of where their low code platform is going. They're talking more and more about maybe you're not going to need apps anymore. Maybe you're going to just have all these agents interconnected. And I'm like, wow, okay. So now we're making a really big jump here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Satya made a play, didn't he? That like
yeah,
SaaS isn't going to be the thing. It's all going to be like agent based, which feels a little extreme to me. But
I know.
I guess it's a point.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Charles Lamanna, who headed up that business, has just been promoted and moved over into the office group, right? It's
Yep.
it's kind of interesting because then if you think it through, you're like, okay, if they're talking about the Dynamics apps possibly going away and being replaced by agents all interconnected, is that where they're going to go with Office? Right?
Yeah, it's all coming under Rajesh Jar, isn't it now? Which is
Hmm.
interesting because it finally feels like there's some ownership to the term
It does.
Copilot, at least in the enterprise space.
That's right. I know because everything was named Copilot at one point. It's hard sometimes to know when they're saying Copilot, are they talking about the Copilot that was Bing Chat, or are they talking about Microsoft 365 Copilot, or Copilots on Dynamics, or GitHub Copilot?
Yeah,
Because even though they all have the word Copilot, they're definitely not all the same, right?
yeah, yeah. And then we've got in the enterprise, we've got Copilot Chat and M365
Right.
Copilot, even within M365. And I think Microsoft, to some extent, deliberately blur all these lines to tell a story while they're working out what goes where. The
Yes.
consumer one's the hardest one for me, that being called Copilot and having nothing to do with
Yeah.
enterprise. But often we see features come there first and then later
Hmm.
come through to the enterprise
I
versions.
know. Yeah. It's definitely hard to keep your eye on the ball as everything's changing all at the same time, right?
I'm kind of selfishly glad that Microsoft made this early bet on AI
Mm,
and are in the race and in the center of the conversation because in another world they could have not made that bet and
that's
actually
true.
been on the sidelines doing the traditional enterprise stuff and
Hmm.
it's a service now or it's Google it's somebody else who's at the front line. So for better or worse of all this change we're kind of going through, at least they're in the mix and at the forefront of this conversation.
Yeah, very true. I remember not that long ago, maybe like 10 years ago, people used to ask me a lot, why are you still covering Microsoft? They're so boring. They're not doing anything innovative. They're not in any space that's interesting. And I kept saying, you know what is interesting about Microsoft? They reinvent themselves constantly. They have so many products in so many markets. It's never boring because even if they're in a lull, very shortly something big is going to happen and something's going to change and suddenly they're going to be in the race again, right?
Yeah, totally, and they've proven it time and time again. Also, the things that
Yeah.
we both respectively follow, they might not be interesting to the consumer tech world, but
Right.
things like the growth of Azure and
Yeah.
the whole Dynamics BU, and obviously I followed the OCS Skype for
Right.
Business link Teams journey, which
Teams.
is like and the pandemic and how that just blew up.
Yeah,
Teams was the center of the world for quite a few years in a row before Copilot was
definitely.
kind of the next big thing,
Definitely.
and yeah, it's interesting. Some of these bets take longer to pay off than maybe they and the world thinks, but often they come
Yeah.
through.
I know, and sometimes it looks crazy. Something they do looks insane. Like everybody was like, Slack obviously is going to win in this space, right? And then they come out with their own product, Teams, and people were very skeptical at the beginning. They're like,
Mm.
"Oh man, they built their own when they could have just gone and bought Slack and taken the market leader, or bought Zoom and taken that company." And now, in hindsight, it looks like they made the right bet. But at the time, it was just like, "What are they doing?"
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And it's interesting for Teams as well because it's become one of the main surfaces for the AI conversation for kind of knowledge workers because the meeting
Mhm.
recaps, the
Right.
engaging with the agents, actually a lot of that still ends up Teams is their kind of surface for that.
Yeah, I think Teams Copilot is what sells Microsoft 365 Copilot for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
I hear that meeting recap and meeting summary is still one of the highest used workloads in all those scenarios because everybody has that problem.
right.
Everybody understands it, and something that can summarize and give me minutes and actions is just super valuable.
It is. We use it at directions for our regular meetings during the week, and it's been great. It's like things you forget that you got assigned, and suddenly you're like, oh, yeah, I forgot that. That's good that that's
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It's kind of interesting that we're still really at the beginning of this journey as what will be possible with AI reasoning over our emails, our data, our meetings. Like you can definitely see a future where we get to the point where it's got so much context it can be way more useful. Like what should I do this week? You
Right,
understand everything that's going on. Where should I place my time? What's the things that I need to do next? That kind of stuff
right.
I'm really excited for.
I haven't really used it that way myself because I feel like my workday is very unscheduled and haphazard. Like I don't have a lot of
I'm hoping
repeatable
it will
things.
save me from that. That's what I'm hoping.
I know, maybe I should try using it and make my workday less haphazard, but
So how's it been with the directions on Microsoft and the customers? Like you do a lot of advisory. I
Mhm.
think it skews towards enterprise, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
How have they coped with, embraced this pace of change and this AI kind of well, I guess AI thing across the board?
All of our customers are enterprise customers. And at the beginning, when Microsoft started talking about AI and Copilot, we did not get a lot of customer questions about it because I think people were skeptical still. They're like, yeah, that seems researchy, kind of, and that futuristic, right? Um, but suddenly, I think because Microsoft was talking so much to enterprises about this, we started getting questions. Like people were like,
Hmm.
what are all these Copilot things? Should I be using this? How does this work? How does the licensing work? How does the pricing work? And all of a sudden, a flood of Copilot questions started coming in, right? And I felt like what we get to see all the customer questions as they come in, and it's been interesting to see where are people confused, right? And what parts do they think they
Yeah.
understand, and what parts do they completely not understand? And um, we also do regular things that we call licensing boot camps. So we do some of these virtually and some in person, so people can come in and learn about how to negotiate their Microsoft licensing contracts and how their licensing programs work and
Which
policies
again
work.
has got hugely complicated over the
Oh,
last few
yeah,
years. I mean,
yeah,
the E5 everything's SKU and you're done, and then it's now actually no, it's all these add-ons. Every
it
product
is.
suite basically has a premium
It
SKU
does.
or option
Everything
these
has an
days.
add-on, right? And at these boot camps, you see customers' questions evolve, right? Like at first they were like, "Yeah, the Copilot thing, it's over there." Now it's like, "What am I doing with this Copilot thing?"
Mm,
Right? So even that has just shown like how it went from like zero, almost zero interest to now like everybody's asking about it, right?
yeah, it feels like not just in the Microsoft space, but like at the CTO level in all organizations,
Yeah,
everybody's aware AI is changing, disrupting. Like it's
yeah,
going to have an impact. We can all debate over the level of impact, but there's no
right.
doubt it's going to have an impact. So I think at a CTO level, you've got to have a strategy, and as soon as you're talking strategy, Microsoft is going to be one of in enterprise. It's going to be one of the players in the mix. So what are they doing? And obviously,
Yeah.
there's others like ServiceNow are making a big push.
Mhm.
Obviously, the other players have a big push as well. So and the big one for me was the rebrand of Copilot Chat. So basically,
Yeah.
everybody with a Microsoft 365 license has the kind of chat level ability included in their cost.
Mhm.
Um, Yet there's still a lot of people have that turned off. There's like a big adoption thing there. Do we use
Yeah.
it? Don't we use it? Which is fascinating to me because it's in the box.
Right. Right. I think people got excited about AI, started doing like pilots, then realized how messy their data estates were, right?
Mm,
And unprotected and not organized. And Microsoft kind of just pushed everybody to it and then came back and tried to talk about things like purview and like getting your data estate in order. So it was a little bit like they pushed people out without all the guardrails in place. And I think that got some people gun shy, right? They were like,
right.
wait, we can't have this thing turned on because suddenly like Joe in accounting is going to see the salary of the CEO, right? And I think
Yeah.
people panicked. And now I think because Microsoft's been doing a lot more lately about um, educating people on how they should have what they should have in place and how they should be rolling co-pilots and agents out. I think people are getting a little more confident now, but it was like they rushed them out without having everything already established, and
Yeah, and
people
that's
got
true in
worried.
the product suite as well. So like there was
Right.
lots of demos that were actually pending see you in 6 months, which like
Exactly.
people would try. Excel's the classic one. Like they would try
Yeah.
it and be like, oh, this doesn't do what I thought it would do.
No.
And I'm seeing a bit of a go back motion on a lot of those now. The
Hmm.
models have got better. It's got more
Yes,
embedded. And actually, what if you tried it a year ago? It is, as is everything in AI. It's a completely different product now.
it
Just
is.
it's
It
developed so
definitely is.
much.
Yeah, when Microsoft 365 went, Copilot went GA, Microsoft didn't publicize this, but Excel Copilot wasn't ready and it
Yeah,
was preview, right? And all the rest of the things were actually GA except for Excel Copilot. And when people were really excited about that because they said, "Oh, I can see where this is going to help me." And then it wasn't ready at all and it was basically broken at the
yeah,
beginning, right? And so I think that turned some people off. They're like, "Oh, this thing's not even ready. Like Excel doesn't work." They didn't talk about like Teams works though, right? Word's pretty good, right? PowerPoint's not bad.
yeah. And I think that's a danger of over marketing that I see a lot
It
at the
is.
moment. Yeah, it's like you're setting the bar. It's already like it's amazing what it can do, but if you set the bar at 150 and it only hits 110, you've disappointed people. Whereas actually,
Exactly.
it's just a general kind of approach to things. Like I'd rather underpitch slightly and hit the
Hmm.
target because it a lot I see as well is I've seen work in adoption where the knowledge worker kind of role uses it and it gives an imperfect answer. Like, oh, I can't use this; it's incorrect. It's like, well,
Yeah,
that's kind of part of the thing here. Like, it's got you
it is.
80% of the way there. It's not trying to get you 100% shouldn't be the goal. You have to be involved.
Exactly. I think people were hoping, oh, good, this can do my job for me, the parts of my job that are really boring and repetitive,
Yeah,
right? But no, you still have to check everything, check the work, right?
yeah. And have you seen agentic seems to be the push for 25
Hmm.
again across the industry and Microsoft? Is it still early on those conversations? I know there's lots of licensing and governance and paper, like pay as you go kind of models around that are quite complicated at the moment.
Yeah, I think people are a little bit worried on the agent front because it's not really clear when you use something like Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat and suddenly it's suggesting you use an agent. Like suddenly it's like, am I paying for this? Is it free? It's not
Yeah,
clear, right? And I feel like again, like you were saying, Microsoft's blurring the lines probably intentionally to try to entice people to try some of these ones that are not free. But because of the pay as you go model and is consumption based, it's risky, right? Because you don't know how your users are going to use that necessarily, and suddenly you get the bill and it's like, oh, wait a minute.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see a couple of things I've seen over the last 24 months is obviously Azure model and the cloud
Mhm.
model, cloud as a platform has always
Yeah.
been pay as you go. And businesses have got used to that.
Right.
But pay as you go in enterprise IT is quite hard because they're trying to work
Right.
to a budget, not a variable.
Yeah.
That's one. And the other one that's interesting is how much is shipping turned on now. Like it
Right.
definitely used to be everything was off and then admin please turn it off if you want. Now
Yeah.
it's on. You've got 30 days to flick this switch before it launches or before you know it, your
Yeah.
users are using it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big risk, right? Sometimes you don't even know it's turned on when it ships to you, and suddenly it's like, oh, this is on. Wait a minute, we should
Yeah,
shut
you
this
get a support
off,
ticket
right?
about how do I use agents. Like what we've got agents now.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially now that agents are showing up in teams, right? And your organization is probably wondering, like, okay, I see an agent. Maybe it would be useful, but am I paying for this? And how am I paying for it, right?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the
Well,
one that's really kind of flummoxed a lot of customers of ours is Security Copilot because with that one, Microsoft introduced a whole new pricing model around their made up metric of security compute unit. And people didn't know what that was. And
yeah.
All Microsoft would say is, we recommend you start with three. And then when people saw how much that cost per month, they were like, wait, I don't know if I'm ready for this, right? And I think they had to do something. Microsoft had to do something to offset the cost of this. But
Yeah.
I also think it was very vague how the pricing and licensing model on that worked, and it made people a little more reticent to even do a pilot because they're like, I don't know what this SCU thing is over here, but I see there's some
Yeah,
overage SCU,
and
right?
understanding how that scales. Like, I'd say I do a
Right.
pilot and it's great and it costs me $5,000 for the
Yeah,
month. Well, that doesn't mean it's going to cost $5,000 the next month
it doesn't.
necessarily, depending on how the model is. So
That's
yeah, I
right.
think it's interesting because Microsoft obviously are investing literal billions into the data centers. There's going to be a need to recoup that, and
There
we're
is.
kind of at this road now of how much is fixed cost, how much is pay as you go,
Yeah.
and I think it's going to be an ongoing conversation as it models out how it's charged for and how the value's seen.
Definitely. And I think customers who we see this a lot, like customers who say they have an E5 SKU of something, they assume that means they get everything, which it
Yeah,
doesn't, right? Like there's
yeah,
a whole bunch of add-ons, especially around agents, that are not included in your license that you're going to pay extra for per user per month. And I think getting their minds wrapped around that, like, oh, I have E5, so I get everything. It's not true, right?
yeah. There's definitely a job to do, both to understand that and to now optimize that spend. You got
Hmm.
Copilot on M365 Copilot on top, immediate $30, like potentially some of the Power BI, fancy stuff,
Right.
potentially Teams Premium.
Yeah.
It stacks up really fast.
It does. It definitely does. And I think people are just going to have to do trials in their organization where not everybody gets Microsoft 365 Copilot. Even we even did that at Directions. Like not every
Mm.
single person here got it because they wanted to see like what does our usage look like and who's using it. And if someone got a license and they're not using it, let's reassign the license. And I think even with Copilot Chat, you're going to have that. Like it's kind of like the freemium tier, right? It's
Yeah.
something everybody could try, and then you can see who needs something more than what's available in chat, and maybe you upgrade that subgroup of people to the full license, right?
Yeah, there's definitely, from the data I've seen, there's definitely a need for adoption. Like, there's obviously in every organization and all walks of life, there's some early adopters who lean forward, who are trying things. But to get the mainstream users to get value out of it, it's not just
Yep.
give them the license and go. And it's such a new way of engaging
It
with
is.
content. And I think that's maybe where Microsoft are excited about agents, because it has the potential to start doing some routine tasks over and over
Mhm.
and driving value for the business without this kind of getting people over the hurdle of using AI.
Right. I know the whole idea of this changes the way you work, right? Like the way you work now, if you want to incorporate co-pilots and agents into your workflow, you're going to have to change how you work to make it
Yeah,
really work for you, right? And nobody wants to change the way they work, right? Like people
yeah,
get in
yeah.
ruts and
Outside of
habits.
technology, we all think everybody does, because we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're excited. You must be
Yeah.
excited. It's like, no, I'm busy.
Right. I know. I still use Notepad as my main thing that I write with, right? And when
Well,
Copilot for Notepad came out, I'm like, I don't want this, right?
it, ma-
I don't want
it,
that.
it made me laugh so much. I immediately thought of you when that was true. It's like, I mean, Paul did a whole session on the podcast, on his podcast, where he was talking about like they're doing it in a very subtle, you don't have to turn it on, like
Right.
protective way. But yeah, there's no escape, is there?
No, there isn't. And I'm like, I don't want the Copilot telling me to rephrase this. I want to write it the way I want to write it, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, Mary Jo. It's really nice to talk. For
Yeah,
those that
thanks,
want to know
Tom.
more about directions on Microsoft or yourself, like what's the best way to reach out and find out more?
Great. So if you want to find out about Directions on Microsoft, we have a really easy URL, directionsonmicrosoft.com. And we have all our information up there about our licensing boot camps, our advisory services for customers, and how you can become a member and get our analyst reports that come out all the time. We also have free blogs and free podcasts, even if you're not a member. So you can get all of that on that website. And as far as contacting me, I'm on X and I'm on Blue Sky. So I'm Mary Jo Foley on both.
Awesome.
So
Yeah, I definitely recommend
yeah,
your the podcast is great and the blogs. So
thanks.
yeah, if you're in our space, that's a good feed to follow, just to keep you on top of the enterprise news and some good perspectives from that team.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Yeah, it was really great
Awesome.
to be on the show. I was excited I got asked, so thank you very much.
No, it's nice. We'll do it again soon. Thanks so
Good.
much.